$125 million. That's what NASA lost in 1999. Not because the engineers were stupid, because the system let them walk into the same trap for 9 months. One team calculated in pounds, the other in newtons. Nobody stopped to verify. Everyone assumed they were speaking the same language. NASA's internal review said something most organizations never admit. We didn't have a way to catch the mistake before it was too late. Your work has the same blind spots. Your team has the same assumptions. You're making the same mistake, just with smaller consequences. Here's what they never taught you about catching yourself before the crash. Sign 1. You wield "I don't know" like a weapon. You know that person in every meeting, the one who answers every question immediately. Never hesitates, never says, "Let me check that." Always certain. Always first. Here's the uncomfortable part. That's not confidence. That's a symptom. In 1999, Kruger and Dunning at Cornell ran a simple test. They asked people to rate their own performance before seeing the results. People who scored in the bottom 12th percentile, they estimated themselves in the 62nd. Not slightly off, dramatically off. The less you know, the more certain you feel, because you don't have enough knowledge to detect what you're missing. Incompetence doesn't produce doubt. It produces conviction. You're not that person. When you don't know something, that's what comes out. Not a confident redirect. Not a fabricated answer. Just, "I'm not sure." Most people treat that as weakness. Your brain treats it as accuracy. Those are not the same thing, and that difference compounds over time. Sign 2. You weaponize the pause. Picture a room. Someone asks a hard question. Watch what happens. Most people rush. They fill the silence immediately. Not because they have the answer, but because silence feels like incompetence. They'd rather be wrong fast than right slowly. Most of the people treat conversations like this. Immediate, reactive. Whoever speaks first wins. A chess grandmaster doesn't move to look busy. They sit. They calculate. 17 moves ahead. 17 possible realities. Then they move one piece. You do the same thing. When a hard question lands, you stop. Not because you're slow, because in those few seconds, your brain is running a parallel check. Verify the context. Predict the consequences. Filter out the first answer. Because the first answer is usually the most automatic, not the most accurate. Sign 3. You audit your emotions instead of just having them. Someone criticizes your idea in a meeting. Your brain's alarm system fires. It cannot tell the difference between a physical threat and someone disagreeing with you. For most people, that signal becomes action. The body moves before the mind. They defend. They deflect. They attack back. The emotion runs the show. You do something different. You feel the reaction, and then you watch it. Psychologist Lisa Feldman Barrett found that people who can precisely identify what they're feeling show better They don't suppress emotion. They distinguish between emotions with enough precision to respond to the actual situation, not the alarm. Sign 4. You are allergic to jargon. Everyone is speaking in complexity. Heavy terms. Layered acronyms. Richard Feynman's principle. If you can't explain it to a 10-year-old without losing what makes it important, you don't understand it. Heavy terms. Layered acronyms. Abstract frameworks. Most of it is concealment. People use jargon to signal that they understand something. Often, it's the opposite. Jargon hides the gap between memorization and actual understanding. Real understanding produces simplicity, not dumbing down. Compression. HTTP isn't a request-response protocol. It's a waiter. CSS is the paint. HTML is the walls. An insurance company doesn't mitigate actuarial risk exposure. They make sure you're covered when something goes wrong. One conceals. One communicates. You don't use complexity to perform intelligence. You use clarity to demonstrate it. Sign 5. You treat changing your mind as an upgrade. People update their beliefs half as much as evidence justifies. For most people, beliefs or identity. Challenge the belief. You challenge the person. The brain's defense response to an ideological threat uses the same neural architecture as its response to a physical attack. You operate on a different logic. A belief is a tool. Tools get evaluated on whether they work. If new evidence makes a better case, the old model gets replaced, not defended. Replaced. You've been doing this quietly your whole life, holding positions loosely enough that better information can actually move through them. People around you occasionally call this inconsistency. What they're actually observing is calibration. The map keeps getting updated. That's not a character flaw. That's the entire mechanism. Reaction is fast. It's automatic. Most people live here. You live in the gap between the stimulus and the response. That's metacognitive intelligence. Not being the smartest person in the room. Being the most aware person in your own head. Traditional IQ is your engine. Metacognitive intelligence is the driver. One determines your raw capacity. The other determines whether that capacity gets used accurately or just confidently. Do you control your thoughts? Or do your thoughts control you? Subscribe. Subscribe.